Hello and welcome to the Ownership Experience. I'm Danielle Wright, president of FranCoach and founder of Create a Shift. At FranCoach, we help people shift from the daily grind to the freedom of working for themselves. Today, here I am joined by FranCoach expert Lisa Rios and her incredible client Alyssa. Let's dive into Alyssa's journey and see which franchises she chose to look at and to potentially build or is building in our market. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Alyssa, for being here. And away we go about the ownership experience.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. So like Danielle said, my name is Lisa. I'm here with my client, Alyssa, who's coming out of Southern California. And I want to just jump right into it. Let's talk about what was going on in your career and or life when we first connected.
Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Danielle. So when we first connected, I was in a phase of life where I was ready for transition. I had downshifted my career a handful of years earlier when our third child was born. And she was now, this would have been last November 2025. And so she was now ready to, or I guess entering her last year of preschool. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have more time on my hands. What do I like? Is this the time that I start exploring different options? I was in a career that I had been in for like 15 years and I didn't particularly love it anymore. Yeah. And it was just kind of this time of transition. So I was exploring, I was actually considering going back full-time corporate. But when I was envisioning that, I was also very much in tune with like my do's and don'ts and my non-negotiables. So it was like very interesting when I was kind of on this job search where I was like, I need flex hours, maybe 100% remote. But if it's not remote, then I don't want my commute more than 20 minutes. And then it was just like my list kept getting like more and more and more narrow. And thankfully I live in an area where there's a lot of industry. So like I still had quite a few options. But yeah, I was just kind of, that's where I was looking for transition. And, but then I kept dreaming kind of thing. And I was like, well, okay, that list was getting smaller. But then I was also like, well, I also want summer months where I can work completely remote and like go spend it up in Northern California with my family. And so like, I think entrepreneurship probably was always there. I just didn't know it yet. And I was like convinced that I could find that in a corporate career, but yeah, it obviously didn't happen.
Yeah. We're happy for that, honestly.
Yeah.
So when you first started exploring franchising, what were your biggest fears and or hesitations about doing so?
Yeah, well, I guess backing up, like franchising kind of came out of left field altogether. Yeah. And obviously Lisa knows this, where the way it happened was I was getting a haircut and my friend who owns the salon, it just so happens to be a franchise salon. And so we were having a conversation and she was talking about how she was thinking of selling her salon. She just had some life things and was looking to move on the other side of the country. And so she said, I'm starting to explore, like maybe I should sell. And so it was just kind of right at that perfect moment where I was looking for my own transition. And so then I was like, well, I might be interested in buying. Like, I've know nothing about franchising. I have no interest in hair, by the way. Like, it's never like, when they say like with kids, people would like do hair. I like hated anybody touching mine. So it like definitely didn't feel like a right fit. But I was also like, but I think I can manage well and do like the operation. So if I can do that part, then I guess I hire the rest to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my entry into the idea of franchising. And then I was like, well, before I get into this, like, let me kind of deep dive and figure out this. And then I found like, the FranCoach 101 podcast.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. I like binged it every second I could. And then like, obviously like, it just like opened up my eyes to be like, wow, this is actually a really massive world that I had no idea. So many brands that even I engage with, I didn't realize were franchises, because my preconceived notion was that everything was just kind of a brick and mortar, right? Like a fast casual food for the most part. And that's what I thought franchising was. So once my eyes were kind of opened, that's when I started exploring franchising. So I didn't really have fears about it. It was just more, I didn't know a whole lot about it. And then I guess the next step was, once I started exploring, was to kind of loop my spouse into this and be like, hey, by the way, I'm thinking of not getting like a corporate job. This might be something I want to explore. And so I was like really surprised that he was just like on board from like day one. So even with the hair salon, he was like, yeah, I mean, if it's already operating and you're like taking it over, he's like, yeah, see where it goes, see where it takes you. And then at that point, once I started going through that, like exploring that, I was like, well, let me explore what other options are. And that's how I started working with FranCoach, because I just felt like it was in my best interest to like make sure I was making the right fit decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad you did. Honestly, we had such a good time throughout the discovery process. But while you were in the discovery process, what really surprised you the most about it?
I think there was two things that surprised me the most. So once you're further in the discovery process, you'll have validation calls with franchise owners. Mm-hmm. And I was just so surprised by how open people were. At least in the franchises that I interacted with, I thought they were honest, and I thought that, they were pretty transparent with things. Like, I don't feel like they held back on anything, like kind of like the good and the bad. I shouldn't say bad, maybe the good and the hard.
Yeah.
And so I think that was really surprising to me, because I just feel like people tend to be a little bit more guarded. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing was that the whole process felt really low pressure. Yeah. And I do think a lot of that is like, Lisa, and your process and how you took it, like really making me feel that I was always in control. Yeah. So I never felt like, this franchise is trying to sell. I mean, they are trying to sell you. Their job is to get people to buy the franchises. But I really understood that, like, ultimately this was my choice. And so whether it was I did it today, or maybe it wasn't a right fit and then it was a never thing, or maybe it was like 2 years from now, like I always felt that. So that was really, I guess, surprising about me, because I thought it would be a little bit more pressure.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I feel like that probably speaks to, the brands that you ended up engaging. Speaking of which, let's talk about the brands that you were introduced to, how you felt about them and why.
So I think the brands, for the most part, were all really in alignment. So where we talk about where I started with the hair salon, that might have not been in alignment with what works with my like skill set. The brands that I was introduced to, I mean, I took everything pretty seriously. So like even the forms that you sent us, I just really looked at it as an opportunity of like, I'm going to truly explore this. I want to give it my all. Right. And I knew that the outcome was really going to be dependent on how much I was honest with myself about what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. So, the brands that I was introduced to, for the most part, were in the home service category. Something, I guess, about my spouse and I, some people have like hobbies of crafting and playing golf. Like, our hobby is building ground up builds. Some like parcels of land to like single family home construction.
Quite the hobby.
And I laugh about it, because it's not like anything that we do full time. It's just, we kind of do one project a year and we enjoy it. And there's a lot of stress that goes with it. But but it also like opened my eyes to that world and those vendors. And I was like, well, this makes sense that it's going to be kind of in that field. So all the brands that I had were in the home industry. And I felt good about them for the most part. I mean, Lisa had me rank them. I think there was 4 brands that I got introduced to, right? 1 through 4. You're like, how do you feel about these? And I don't know which one I know at some point the lighting company, I was really excited about, like this external lighting one.
Yeah.
And then there was like a practical one. There was like a drywall finishing contractor. My father-in-law, he's a drywall finishing contractor. So I knew I would just have the support from him. And so that felt like the path of least resistant. There was an outdoor landscaping company, and then a property management company as well. And then what I also liked about them is that they were all different sizes of franchises and franchise brands. So none of them were quite emerging markets, but they were all established, but they were at different stages of that. I laugh with the ranking part of it because I think one was number 1. And then Lisa showed me that she was like, which one's your least? And I was like, absolutely not. I will never do property management. I do not like that. And then part of that is like, and then I should share with my husband and I own and I manage 8 of our own properties. And so in that process, I was like, why would I do a property management company when so many people just do it on their own? Right? Like it just did not seem exciting at all. We're laughing. I mean, I know we're supposed to wait till the end to do the reveal, but like spoiler alert, like that's the company I ended up going with, was the one that I was like, heck no, Lisa, get this off my list. And it even got even worse after we did our first set of calls. That was actually great too, because you do that first set of calls and you start to get a sense of, okay, what do I like? What do I not like? So right off the bat, I knew one of the brands was not going to be right for me because they were owned by such a bigger franchise brand. And it almost felt way too corporate, too structured, too huge. I'm just another number in that one. And so for me, it didn't feel like quite the right fit. I mean, for some people, maybe that's the right fit for them. Yeah. Clearly it is, because there's thousands of people that franchises from there. But for me, it wasn't right. So I knew right off the bat, I was like, the call was great. The sales guy was great. Really liked the company. I see the vision, but it wasn't my vision. And then the other 2 were fine, but going to this property management, we had the first call and I was just, I'm like trying to choose my words nicely.
It wasn't the best first impression, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a great first impression. There was just like a lot of things, and it could have just been an off day. But in the end of that call, I sent Lisa a long email about how much I did not like this company. And I was like, but I did see an opportunity there. I did like it, but I don't think this company is the right fit for me. Can you find me another franchise that's in this property management space? So Lisa came back, and then in essence, there was no other option in my territory for property management, but she did very calmly, validated my feelings. She was like, I can see you're clearly frustrated or didn't have a good first interaction, but if it piqued your interest, I would encourage you to take a second call with them. And so I appreciated that, because when I really liked Lisa, and I was like, okay, I'll do another call with her, but or call with them. And it ended up completely turning around. So that second call was just really great. The sales guy that I was working with, I think we finally started speaking the same language, and you can understand that, right? Any relationship, when you're just kind of shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
And then by that second call, I mean, he's great at his job. He figured out like where I was, and then he started speaking kind of on the same like wavelength as me. And then it was just really great, the whole rest of the process. And I think we went really off on a tangent about the brands I was introducing.
Like the best part of this story, honestly, right? We tell clients all the time, like, keep an open mind, like, hear this out. This process is like dating, right? Like,
yeah.
First date with my husband wasn't great, but we're married now for 7 years. So
totally.
Now things can turn around, right?
Yeah. And and then I like just appreciate you, Lisa. Like you were just so calm about the whole thing. Like, and I think you even called me. You're like, okay, I can hear you through the email. Like just but you were just like, well, if it's piquing your interest, like, consider being open to a second call. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm an open-minded person. Okay, I'll do it.
Yes, exactly. And look where it got. I mean, it all worked out, right?
It clearly did.
Yeah. And so ultimately with them, what made you confident to move forward and say, yes, this is it for me?
Yeah. I know it was just the vision was so crystal clear. Like the way that it just got, like, they painted it, and then the vision that I had for myself, my family, just everything was really in alignment. And then I guess backing up with property management specifically, you don't know what you don't know, right? So initially I was like, why would anybody do that when you can manage your own for free kind of thing? But then after going through the process, I just realized, like, wait, no, there's a huge market here, and this is a really scalable business. And so after kind of really looking at it from a different lens, I realized that this was like a right fit. And then as far as the franchise itself, initially I was a little nervous about them because they are, I think at the time, or when I was talking to them, they had less than 100 franchises. So they were just about to go over the 100 mark. And what I felt during the process with this franchise was that they were very much on a mission to grow. And so I felt like they were going to be just as invested as me, as well as me in the franchise. Like it was in their best interest to have me do well, because ultimately they do better. And so it just felt like this like true partnership. And then obviously that was solidified on Discovery Day when I flew out to meet their team. My spouse came with me at that point, because up until that point, he had been pretty MIA in the process. He has a very like busy schedule, and he was just like, you run with it. Because they would always be like, do you need to we should loop in your spouse into these conversations. He was like, it's just another task for me. He was like, I trust you. Like, this is going to be your baby. Like, you run with it. Loop me in if I need to be looped in. And then, so then he went to Discovery Day, and then he very much saw like the vision of the team too, and saw the path. And so just having, it wasn't just me feeling this, but then also him seeing it and saying, no, this is the right path for our family. So
yeah. He validated it with you. Yeah. He knows you're brilliant. So good for him.
No, he's the best. And then he's also like the best for even like validating me. Like when I'm like, are you sure? Like, I don't know if I'm going right. He's like, no, you're like competent, capable. Like, yeah.
Oh, love him for that.
Yeah.
So if someone is watching this and they are where you were, let's say 3, maybe more like 6 months ago, what would you tell them?
I think it's really just be open to the process. Like I think the process is pretty straightforward, and but also like listen to your own voice as well. Although I had to override my own voice with Lisa's guidance.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, but I just think it's like, if you're thinking about doing a transition and exploring, like, franchising truly is a partnership, or at least that's how I've felt throughout this whole process.
Yeah.
And I had some people, when I was talking about this, they're like, why would you do a franchise? Don't you have to pay like high royalties? Like, it was just kind of like that cost. And yeah, that's part of it, right? But on the flip side with that, I also get this like instant community of people around me. I'm not in like decision paralysis. So, like, I'm just thinking, as like I'm still going through my onboarding process, like I'm not spending time second guessing myself. Like, am I doing this right? Am I not? Like, the roadmap is there. Yeah. We have a great community. Like, they put me in they call it EU25, but it's just like a group of people that have kind of started in the last 12 months. And so that's been really great to get perspective from them, where they're at. Also, from the more veterans, because we're still somewhat of a small enough franchise network, there's like a lot of encouragement to grow from all aspects, like even the people that are going through their first round of renewals, right? And then now we're seeing some people that are exiting, and that's been actually really powerful for me to be like, oh, let me grow. Like, there's a possibility that I can grow this asset and then sell it. Like, this is just really, really great. So, so I think if somebody's watching this, it's just kind of, be open to the process, but then also be like realistic with yourself too. Like, if like, I think there was a lot of things in my life that were leading up to entrepreneurship. And so this jump was just kind of like the next. But, I do think that this might not be for everybody. Clearly, right. Not everybody does it, and that's okay too. And just because you go through this process doesn't mean that you need to buy a franchise, right? Like, if anything, this process is to help you explore, to say, oh, this is for me, or this is not for me. And again, in a low pressure situation, like environment.
Yes, absolutely. So we know that you went into property management, but tell us the brand. Plug your franchise.
Okay, so I gotta do my little show. So I went with Keyrenter Property Management. We are a full-scale property management company, so we handle everything from leasing to maintenance to tenant management. I am location 131. Nice. So I'm really excited about that. And I am based in Los Angeles County, in the South Bay area. And we will be open soon. I'm still on the onboarding process, but very eager to start. Excited. And start managing properties.
Yes. I'm so excited for you. Thank you so much for joining us and just like sharing your story, taking time to do this. I really appreciate it. It's so much fun together. So you were the first person I thought of when this was something that I wanted to do. So
this has been great. And I was like so thrilled to see Lisa's name come across my email. And it was great because I think even when you like emailed me, I had just passed my real estate exam. So it was kind of like in the universe that it was like, oh.
And I asked, I'm like, have you passed that test yet? Like, are you there? It's awesome. I knew you would crush it. And I still want the phone call when you hit your first 300 doors with Keyrenter.
Yeah. So we got the model 300. So really, we're going to be grinding it out to our first 300 doors.
Love it.
It'll happen.
It will happen. It will happen. I can't wait for the phone call. Thank you.
I love this. Congratulations. Super, super excited. You're in a part of the world that I will pat you on the back for all your successes, because it is not easy in that part of the country, but bless your heart, you're going to slay it. So,
I hear that all the time. People are like, oh, California is tough. And I'm like, well, I've lived here my whole life, so I don't know any different.
And that's sometimes the better thing. Places like we could talk for hours. I was with home service really early on in my career, and it's like, I know my whole entire market. Have you driven every street up and down? Have you talked to every household and every street in your territory? No, then you don't know it. But I have a feeling Alyssa's going to be like, yep, I've talked to that house 3 times. I've talked to this one 4 times. Like, tell me no.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because like, I mean, we're in a very small section of a bigger city, but it is so small town here.
Yeah. You already own properties. You know the deal. Yeah.
Speaking the lingo is the easier part of it. So you got that down. You're good to go. But thank you, Lisa, for putting us together. I'm excited to have this. It's very female power, so I love that. Thank you, Alyssa, for joining us today. You've been a great guest and answered all the good questions. So good for you. Yay. Podcast 1 done. Yay.
First,
Yeah. Now let's see what we can do about get you some traction from the 5 viewers that watch it. So thank you guys so much for the time, and I look forward to seeing everybody else on the next ownership experience. Bye guys.